Have you ever felt like you're doing everything right in a relationship, but it just doesn't work out? Maybe you've been told to be nice, to respect her space, or even be yourself, only to be left confused, frustrated, or heartbroken. What if I told you that everything you've learned about attracting women is wrong? I'm about to reveal the truth. The hidden weaknesses. Every woman has weaknesses they don't talk about, but every man needs to know. Stick around, because this video could change everything you thought you knew about dating. Drop a comment saying "I am ready" in the comment section below if you're ready to watch this video until the end. Because trust me, you won't want to miss a single second of this. Let's face it, the dating game is rigged, and it's not rigged in your favor. You've probably noticed that the men who seem to have everything figured out are the ones who don't follow the rules. They understand something most men don't. Women are not the logical, rational beings you've been trained to believe they are. No, their desires are based on emotions. And the truth is, they don't even consciously know why they're attracted to certain men. That's what I'm here to break down for you. Today we're diving into the 10 biggest weaknesses every woman has. And I'm going to show you exactly how you can exploit these weaknesses, not to manipulate or hurt anyone, but to understand the psychology behind attraction and use it to build better, stronger, and more meaningful connections. We're not here to sugarcoat anything or give you outdated advice. This is raw, real, and it's going to hit hard. So buckle up and get ready. Before we dive into it, hit the like button if you're already feeling the value. And make sure to subscribe if you want more deep and honest advice that actually works in today's world. And if you're serious about supporting this channel and helping us continue to deliver quality content, consider joining the channel memberships. It helps us stay independent and keep making this content accessible for as many men as possible. Let's dive into the first weakness. Number 1, the steadfast man. Let's be clear about something up front. Women today are bombarded with options. They've got guys blowing up their DMs, strangers complimenting them, and dating apps offering an endless buffet of potential matches. So why do most men fail in the dating game despite all these available tools? Because they're inconsistent. Most guys today are flaky. Don't keep promises and give up too easily. And you know what? Women notice this. Here's the brutal truth. Women don't trust easily. They've been conditioned to expect men to disappear when things get difficult. Whether it's after a few dates or a few months, most women are on guard because they've experienced men not showing up, not following through, and not being reliable. That's why the man who stands firm in his decisions, in his actions, and in his words becomes an instant standout. Being steadfast means more than just showing up on time. It's about embodying stability in all aspects of your life. You need to be the man who not only says what he'll do, but does it without hesitation. In a dating world full of flaky, indecisive men, the one who follows through becomes a lighthouse in a sea of uncertainty. Start by being consistent with the small things. If you say you'll text her later, do it. If you promise her you'll call at a specific time, make sure you're on the dot. Being steadfast doesn't mean being rigid. It means being dependable. She needs to know that you're a man who sticks to his word, because reliability is one of the sexiest traits you can offer in today's fast-paced, often superficial dating world. Number 2, confidence. We hear it all the time. Confidence is attractive. But what does that really mean? Confidence is not about arrogance or being loud. True confidence is the quiet, unwavering belief that you are enough just as you are. This kind of confidence is magnetic because it's rare, especially in today's world, where so many men feel the need to prove themselves to others. Constantly, women are naturally drawn to confident men because confidence signals security. Think about it. Women have their own insecurities. They worry about how they look, how they're perceived, and whether or not they measure up. When a woman meets a man who is unshaken by external validation, who doesn't need her to make him feel good about himself, it's like a breath of fresh air. That's why confident men stand out in a sea of insecurity. Too many men rely on external factors for their confidence, their job, their looks, or their social status. But what happens when those things are taken away? True confidence comes from within. It's about knowing your value, regardless of what happens in your life. When you have this kind of confidence, you become untouchable. You're not shaken by rejection. You're not rattled by setbacks. And you certainly don't need a woman's approval to feel good about yourself. Start working on your internal confidence by setting goals and achieving them no matter how small. Each time you keep a promise to yourself, you build confidence. And remember, confidence doesn't mean you're perfect. It means you're comfortable in your imperfections. Own who you are, flaws and all, and watch how women respond to that genuine self-assurance. Number 3, ambition. Ambition is one of the most powerful traits a man can have. In today's world, where complacency is encouraged and settling for mediocrity is the norm, the ambitious man stands out as someone who is constantly pushing himself to be better. Women are drawn to men who have a clear sense of purpose and drive because it signals that you're going somewhere in life. Here's the thing. Ambition doesn't have to mean you're building a multi-million-dollar empire or working 80 hours a week. It means that you have goals, you're working towards something, and you refuse to settle for good enough. Women want to be with a man who is driven because it makes them feel like they're part of something bigger than themselves. If you're ambitious, it shows that you're not content with just coasting through life, and that is incredibly attractive. But here's where most guys get it wrong. They talk about ambition without backing it up. You can't just say you're ambitious, you have to show it. Whether it's through your career, your personal growth, or your hobbies, you need to demonstrate that you're constantly striving for more. Ambition is about progress, not perfection. It's about showing that you're always working to become a better version of yourself. Start by setting short-term and long-term goals. These don't have to be grandiose, but they need to push you out of your comfort zone. Whether it's getting a promotion at work, learning a new skill, or getting in shape, make sure you're constantly moving forward. When a woman sees that you're ambitious, she'll want to be part of your journey. Number 4. The bad boy. Why a bit of mystery keeps her hooked. Let's clear something up right away. When we say bad boy, we're not talking about some reckless guy who doesn't care about anyone or anything. We're not talking about disrespect, arrogance, or emotional immaturity. The real power behind the so-called bad boy isn't in how loud he is, it's in how unavailable he is, emotionally unpredictable, a little distant, unreadable, mysterious. And that whether people like to admit it or not is magnetic. Here's why. Most men are easy to read. They show up with all their cards on the table. They over-explain, over-pursue, over-text. And while women say they want honesty and openness, and they do what holds their interest is curiosity, the unknown, the subtle tension of not knowing exactly what a man is thinking. That's what the bad boy energy triggers. It invites her in, but not all the way. This isn't about manipulation. This is about presence. Because when a man doesn't try too hard to impress, when he keeps a calm, emotional distance, when he doesn't immediately validate everything she does, he creates space. And in that space, she leans forward. She starts paying attention. She starts wondering what's on his mind. Why isn't he reacting like everyone else? That's mystery. And mystery creates momentum. Now, some guys hear this and they fake it. They try to act cold, detached, silent for the sake of being hard to get. But women can spot that a mile away. It's not about pretending to be mysterious. It's about genuinely being a man who doesn't need to explain himself every second. A man who's too focused on his own path to constantly manage someone else's emotional reactions. That's what makes the difference. Think about it. When everything about you is known too soon, there's nothing left to discover. When you always respond instantly, when you're constantly available, when you're emotionally predictable, there's no tension. And without tension, attraction fades, slowly, silently, until she's scrolling through your messages but not feeling much anymore. Now let's bring this back to Stoicism. Epictetus said, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." Apply that to how you show up emotionally. Speak less. Reveal yourself slowly. Let your silence have weight. Let her feel the power of not knowing everything about you in the first 5 conversations. The men who keep women hooked long-term aren't the ones spilling their hearts out on day 1. They're the ones who make her earn access, who share their world piece by piece, not all at once, who hold something back not because they're hiding, but because they know their value. And here's the deeper truth. When you operate with mystery, you're not just being strategic, you're preserving your self-respect. Because not every emotion needs to be shared. Not every thought needs to be explained. Not every moment needs to be posted or said or reacted to. Sometimes the most attractive thing you can do is pause and let her wonder. Mystery forces her to stay present. It makes her work a little. And when she works for something, even emotionally, she values it more. She leans in. She observes more closely. She listens more deeply. And that effort, that's where emotional investment begins. But the key here is balance. Too much mystery, and you become unreadable, detached, cold. But just enough, you become unforgettable. So stop thinking you have to prove yourself with constant validation. Start thinking about what it means to be felt, but not always explained. Seen, but not always understood. Known, but not fully. That's where the edge lives. And if you've ever felt like you were doing everything right, but still getting overlooked, maybe the issue isn't effort, it's exposure. Maybe you've given too much of yourself too soon and removed all the tension. The fix isn't to chase harder. The fix is to hold more of yourself, to let curiosity do the work. If that landed and you're done over-explaining your worth, write this in the comments, "I stay unreadable," because the moment you stop giving everything away is the moment she starts paying real attention. Let's keep going. Number 5, ignored attention. How to use scarcity to increase your value. Let's break a myth real quick. A lot of men think that giving more attention, more affection, more time will naturally make a woman value them more. That if you're always available, always present, always first to respond, she'll finally see how serious you are. But here's the truth most men don't want to hear. What's always available quickly becomes invisible. This isn't about playing games. It's about understanding human nature. We don't value what we can have anytime we want. We value what's rare, what feels earned, what forces us to lean in, not sit back. And this is where ignored attention comes in. When a man starts pulling his energy back, not out of spite, but out of focus, out of purpose, out of a refusal to beg, something shifts. She starts to feel it. The gap, the absence, the silence. And that feeling, that's scarcity. And scarcity breeds value. Now let's be clear. This doesn't mean ghosting. It doesn't mean ignoring her texts for days just to prove a point. That's insecurity dressed up as strategy. What I'm talking about is shifting your focus away from her validation and back to your mission. Letting your attention become something earned, not expected. Because when she knows she can have your time whenever she wants it, your presence loses its weight. But when you become a man who chooses carefully where he invests energy, who doesn't drop everything for a text, who doesn't rearrange his priorities at the first sign of female attention, that's when she starts to take notice. And here's why. Attention is currency, emotional currency, and the more freely you spend it, the less it's worth. But when you hold it strategically calmly, without bitterness, it becomes powerful. Suddenly, your responses carry weight. Your time feels intentional. Your presence becomes something she has to earn back, not something she takes for granted. That's the awesome. You're no longer the man hoping to be noticed. You become the man whose absence gets noticed. And you know what happens when she feels that space she starts chasing. Not always aggressively, sometimes subtly. A question here, a check-in there. She starts testing the waters to see where you stand. Not because she's playing games, but because attention that was once constant is now conditional, and she wants to know why. Here's where Stoicism sharpens the blade. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." The power isn't in ignoring her to control her. The power is in realizing you don't need constant interaction to stay grounded. You don't need to give away all your energy to prove your worth. You are worthy with or without her attention. That kind of man, the one who values his own time more than validation, stands out. He's rare. He's centered. He's not chasing. He's choosing. And in a world full of men giving too much too fast, he becomes memorable. And look, I get it. The urge to respond fast, to check in, to keep the connection warm, it comes from a good place. You care. You're invested. But caring too much without boundaries quickly becomes a liability. You teach her that your attention is hers to command. And once that happens, your value starts slipping even if she likes you. So instead, flip the script. Create space. Let her wonder. Let her lean in. Let your silence be intentional, not reactive, not dramatic, just quiet strength. And if she walks away because you stopped giving unlimited access, good. That means she was never drawn to you. She was just addicted to the version of you that was always available. But the woman who values substance, she'll feel the difference. She'll notice the pause. And she'll come back with more clarity, more effort, and more respect. So if you've been over-giving, over-texting, over-chasing, let this be your reminder. Your attention has value. Don't give it to someone who hasn't earned it. If that truth settled in your gut the way it should, say this in the comments as your reminder. I move in silence because real presence doesn't beg. It doesn't chase. It chooses where to go, and when it leaves, it's felt. Let's move forward. Number 6. Pre-selection. The power of being desired by other women. Let's talk about one of the most misunderstood truths in attraction. You can say all the right things, show up consistently, have your purpose locked in, but if she senses that no other women find you desirable, something subtle shifts. It's not that she stops respecting you. It's that part of her instinct, the one that's wired to respond to social proof, starts asking questions. Why aren't other women interested in him? That question changes how she looks at you. Not always, consciously, but it happens. And that's where pre-selection comes in. It's the psychological principle that people are more drawn to those who others already find valuable. In simple terms, being wanted makes you more wanted. It's the reason why a guy walking into a room with confident female energy around him often pulls more attention than the guy standing alone. It's not about being flashy. It's not about being a player. It's the perceived value that changes the game. Women don't just want a so good man. They want a man who's already recognized as good. And that recognition doesn't have to be romantic. It could be women laughing at your jokes, giving you a warm hug when they see you showing you respect in subtle social moments. Those cues tell her something powerful without you saying a word. You've been chosen before. You could be chosen again. That's what makes you a risk. And that risk is what triggers deeper interest. But here's the mistake most men make. They think pre-selection is about bragging, flexing, telling her about your exes or dropping hints that women like you. That's not pre-selection, that's desperation in disguise. True pre-selection isn't spoken, it's sensed. It's in how you move, how women respond to you without you chasing them. It's in the subtle ease you carry when you're around the opposite sex, not because you're trying to get something, but because you've already been someone women admire. And that energy, it lingers. It speaks louder than any story you could tell. And here's where Stoicism sharpens the edges. You don't chase pre-selection. You don't manipulate it. You become the kind of man who naturally earns it through your discipline, your purpose, and your calm. You focus on your mission. You stay grounded. And in doing that, you attract the attention of women who respect presence, not performance. Epictetus said, "Don't explain your philosophy, embody it." Same thing here. Don't explain why women like you. Don't try to convince her you're valuable. Be valuable. Be so focused on your path that you don't even notice who's watching. And when they do watch, because they will, your presence becomes its own proof. Think about this. If she sees that you can hold a woman's attention without losing your composure, if she senses that you've been admired, but you're still selective, if she knows you've had options, but you're not rushing to choose, that creates tension. That tells her you're not just trying to be chosen. You're deciding who fits your life. And that's rare. Most guys rush to secure her, to validate her, to prove that they're not like the rest. But the man who already knows his worth doesn't rush. He observes. He lets her show up fully before he invests emotionally. And that slow, steady energy, it tells her something primal. If other women want him, maybe I should lean in before someone else does. That's pre-selection in action. Not loud, not obvious, just undeniable. So if you're out here thinking the only way to win her over is to chase harder, text faster, or convince her you're the best choice, pause. Ask yourself, would another high-value woman want to be around me right now? And if the answer's no, maybe it's not about getting her attention. Maybe it's about becoming the kind of man who attracts it without even trying. Because that's the power. That's the advantage. That's the leverage of a man who's already been chosen and still chooses carefully. If that landed with you and you're done trying to prove you're worth something, type this in the comments to lock it in. I attract naturally. Because when you stop needing to be picked and start moving like someone already valued you, change the energy completely. Let's keep going. Number 7. Masculinity. Why women want emotionally strong men. Let's clear something up right away. Masculinity has nothing to do with being aggressive, loud, emotionally unavailable, or trying to dominate every room you walk into. That's a cheap imitation. Real masculinity, the kind women are deeply drawn to, is quiet. It's steady. It's calm in the chaos. And above all, it's built on emotional strength. Now, what does that actually mean? Emotional strength isn't about pretending nothing bothers you. It's about knowing exactly what does and not letting it control you. It's about owning your feelings without being consumed by them. And it's about standing firm when things get hard, not because you're trying to prove anything, but because you know who you are. This is the kind of man women feel safe around, not just physically, but emotionally. He doesn't react to every provocation. He doesn't spiral when challenged. He doesn't crumble the moment someone pulls away. He's grounded. Not perfect, just centered. That's what masculinity looks like at its highest level, emotional sovereignty. See, the emotionally strong man doesn't suppress what he feels, he just doesn't broadcast every wave that hits him. He processes, he reflects, He stays aware. But he never lets temporary emotion dictate permanent behavior. And in today's world, that kind of man stands out. Because let's be honest, we live in a culture where outrage is rewarded, where overreaction is normal, and where emotional volatility is often mistaken for authenticity. But deep down, both men and women crave the opposite. They want consistency. They want clarity. They want someone who can walk through fire without losing his form. And that's why emotionally strong men are so attractive. They don't chase chaos. They stabilize it. They bring a presence that calms the room, not because they're the loudest, but because their energy doesn't flinch. Women feel that, on a deep level, even if they don't always articulate it. It's not just about how you look or what you own, it's how you carry yourself, how you respond when things don't go your way, how you speak when you're hurt, how you hold the line when you're tested. That's what makes a woman lean in. That's what earns trust. Not charm, not status, stability. Let's ground this in Stoicism. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." That's the core of masculine energy. Not control over others, but full command of yourself. The ability to stay steady even when emotions run high. That's what separates you. That's what she's drawn to. Now here's what happens when you lack that strength. You get needy. You overexpress. You vent when what you really need is stillness. You push her for answers she's not ready to give. You try to solve emotions with action because you haven't learned how to just feel and hold. And over time, that creates pressure. It makes her feel like she has to manage your emotional state, and nothing kills attraction faster than that. The emotionally weak man thinks intensity will win her over. The emotionally strong man knows restraint is more powerful. It's in the pause before you speak, the calm when she pulls away, the way you own your part in a conflict without losing yourself to guilt. That energy, it's rare, it's masculine, and it's deeply attractive. Women don't want a man who never feels, they want a man who doesn't flee from what he feels. They want to see that you have a full emotional world, but that you lead yourself through it. That you don't collapse under pressure. That you're a rock, but not a wall. So if you've been told that showing emotion is weakness, or that masculinity is about being detached, forget that. The truth is real strength is about integration. Feeling deeply, holding firmly, acting intentionally. And if you've been in situations where your emotions controlled your tone, your decisions, or your ability to stay grounded, it's not shame. It's a signal, a chance to level up. Because emotional strength isn't something you're born with. It's built, brick by brick, boundary by boundary. And when you walk in that strength, when you stop being driven by reaction and start leading with awareness, the women around you feel the difference. So if this is the season you stop chasing intensity and start choosing presence, write this in the comments. I lead myself. Because once you master your emotions, you don't just become more attractive, you become untouchable. Let's keep going. Number 8. Charismatic leadership. How to lead and make her follow. Let's get something straight. Leadership in relationships isn't about barking orders, being alpha, or controlling someone's every move. That's insecurity in disguise. Real leadership, the kind that draws a woman in and earns her trust over time, is subtle, grounded, and most of all, charismatic. And here's what most men miss. Leadership isn't something you demand. It's something you embody. You don't get her to follow by telling her where to go. You do it by knowing where you're going, making the path so compelling, so clear, so full of purpose that she naturally wants to walk beside you. Charisma is not about being loud. It's about presence. It's not about always having the answer. It's about knowing how to carry uncertainty without falling apart. When a man leads with composure, vision, and purpose, it does something to the people around him, especially women. She feels safe. Not just physically, but emotionally. Because she can trust his direction, not just his words. So, a charismatic leader doesn't dominate. He influences. He listens more than he speaks. He takes responsibility when things go wrong. He sets the tone in a room not with volume, but with certainty. He doesn't beg for validation. He doesn't over-explain his intentions. He knows what he values, and he moves like it. That's what makes her want to follow. Not because she's weak, but because he's strong enough to carry vision, not just for himself, but for both of them. Let me be clear, women don't follow men just because they're ambitious or confident. They follow men who make decisions with integrity, who stay composed under pressure, and who can navigate life's unpredictability without losing control. That's the kind of leadership that inspires, not commands. Let's pull in some Stoic grounding. Marcus Aurelius said, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." That's it. By being, not talking, not pretending, not performing, just living with such discipline and presence that she doesn't need to be convinced, you become undeniable. Here's what that looks like in real life. You're the one who chooses the plan. Not because you have to be in control, but because you care enough to think ahead. You handle conflict without getting reactive. You're the one who knows when to speak and when to pause. When things feel chaotic, you become calmer, not louder. And maybe most importantly, you know when to walk away from chaos altogether. A true leader doesn't try to lead someone who refuses to be led. He doesn't chase connection from someone who won't meet him halfway. Charismatic leadership isn't about pulling someone along, it's about creating a standard so clear that only the right woman wants to match it. And yes, she might push back at first. She might test you. She wants to feel that your leadership isn't just surface level, that it holds under tension, that it doesn't fold when challenged. That's natural. And that's where most men collapse. They take resistance personally instead of treating it like proof that their presence is being felt. If she challenges you, good. That means she sees your potential. What she's really asking is, can I trust where you're going? And your answer is never in your words. It's in how you carry yourself when tested. The truth is, women crave direction, but not from just any man. From a man whose life has structure, whose values don't shift depending on who's watching. From a man who knows his lane and stays in it with clarity. That energy, it's rare, it's magnetic, and it's not something you chase, it's something you become. So if you've been asking yourself how to lead in a way that makes her want to follow, stop looking outward. Start building inward. Get clear on your values. Get firm in your tone. Get honest about where you're headed. And then move. You don't need to explain your vision to be respected. You just need to live it. If that landed with you and you're done apologizing for being a man with direction, type this in the comments and wear it with pride. I lead forward because when leadership comes from presence, not pressure, it doesn't just attract her, it elevates everything around you. Let's keep going. Number 9, emotional intelligence. The secret to building a deep connection. Let's be real, most people can hold a conversation, but very few know how to create connection. They know how to talk, how to share facts, how to fill silence. But when it comes to emotional depth, when it comes to reading the room, sensing unspoken tension, or navigating conflict with grace, that's where they fall flat. And that's exactly why emotional intelligence is a game changer. It's not just a nice trait to have. It's not about being in touch with your feelings in some soft, passive way. Emotional intelligence is strength. It's presence. It's power not over others but over yourself. and the men who have it. They don't have to say much to create impact. The room adjusts to them. The energy calms around them. And women, they notice it immediately. Because let's face it, attraction gets her attention, but emotional intelligence earns her respect. It makes her feel safe, seen, understood, and that feeling is rare. Most men react emotionally, but think they're being rational. Most speak from ego and call it honesty. But when you meet a man who can feel everything without being controlled by anything, it's magnetic. So what does emotional intelligence look like in action? It's the ability to pause before reacting. It's choosing your tone instead of letting it choose you. It's being able to say, "I hear you," even when you don't agree. It's reading between the lines, not just her words, but her silences. And it's the ability to hold emotional tension without needing to fix it right away. Just holding it. And you know what's wild? Most women have never experienced that. They've dealt with guys who shut down when things get deep. Guys who get defensive the moment they're questioned. Guys who panic the second emotions show up. So when they meet a man who can stay with it, who can handle discomfort without running, he stands out. She doesn't have to say, "Can I be real with him?" She just knows. That's the real flex. Now here's the mistake a lot of men make. They confuse emotional intelligence with being passive. They think it means absorbing everything, always giving in, or holding space until they disappear. No. That's emotional submission, not intelligence. A strong man with high EQ knows how to validate without enabling. He knows when to listen and when to draw the line. He stays calm, but never small. That balance, that's what builds connection. Because at the end of the day, connection isn't built by intensity. It's built by consistency. She doesn't fall for the man who explodes with passion. She falls for the one who can meet her where she is without judgment or fear. The one who doesn't panic when emotions get messy. The one who's clear on his own inner world and doesn't need her to manage it for him. And this isn't just about romantic connection. Emotional intelligence elevates everything. Your career, your friendships, your ability to lead. Because it's the foundation of relational gravity. The ability to influence without pressure. To connect without control. To lead without ego. Let's bring in the Stoic view. Seneca said, "No man is more unhappy than he who never faces adversity, for he is not permitted to prove himself." And emotional adversity, conflict, tension, vulnerability, that's where most men prove nothing. They check out. They blame. They run. But the emotionally intelligent man, he stays. He listens. He feels. He grows. And when a woman sees that she's not just impressed, she's disarmed. Because now she knows she can stop performing. She can stop protecting herself every second. She can breathe around you. And when a woman feels that, when she feels emotionally safe in your presence, it opens the door to something deeper than attraction. It builds something she can actually trust. So if you're tired of surface-level connections, tired of conversations that never lead anywhere, tired of being told you're nice but never deeply remembered, this is where everything shifts. Build your emotional intelligence. Not to win her, but to master you. And if this clicked with you, if you're ready to stop reacting and start leading through presence, lock it in by commenting below. I stay aware. Because connection isn't built through force, it's built through understanding. And the man who understands himself becomes the man every woman remembers. Let's finish strong. Number 10. Passionate interests. Why purpose and passion make you magnetic. Let's end this list with what might be the most underrated trait of all. No, it's not looks. It's not money. It's not charm. It's passion, real deep personal passion. A fire for something that exists completely outside of her. A purpose that drives you whether or not she's in the picture. That's what makes you magnetic. You want to know why. Because most people, men and women alike, are drifting. They wake up, check their phone, go to work, scroll, eat, sleep, repeat. Their days look like copies of the day before. No direction, no deeper reason. So when a woman meets a man who's lit up by something, anything, she feels that difference immediately. She sees a man who's not waiting for life to happen to him. He's building something, creating, moving. That energy, it's rare. It's powerful. You don't need to be famous. You don't need to be rich. But when you talk about the thing that keeps you alive, and your eyes change, your voice deepens, your whole presence shifts, she feels that. She sees a man who's not just passing time. He's in it. And that's where the magic happens. Because when you're passionate about something that has nothing to do with impressing her, it makes you attractive in a way that's not performative. It's not about trying to win her approval. It's about showing her that you already have something bigger than this moment. Something that defines you. Something that keeps you aligned when everything else gets messy. It could be music, building a business, martial arts, writing, teaching, traveling, leading your community. Doesn't matter what it is. What matters is that it's yours, that it's real, that you'd still be doing it if no one applauded. Because that's the kind of passion that can't be faked and can't be ignored. And here's the twist. Purpose makes everything else easier. You stop chasing. You stop overthinking. You stop measuring your worth through how much attention you're getting. Because you're already full. You've already found something that makes your time feel valuable. And when a woman senses that you're not desperate for her to fill your day, your mind, or your identity, she leans in. Not because she wants to complete you, but because she sees you already complete. That's what turns heads, not effort, not smooth lines. Presence built through purpose. And purpose does something else too. It makes you more emotionally grounded. Because every setback doesn't hit as hard. You've got something to return to, a structure, a direction, a mission that's bigger than temporary feelings. When the world gets chaotic or when relationships feel uncertain, you don't unravel, you refocus. That's Stoicism in action. Seneca said, "If a man knows not to which port he sails, no wind is favorable." You need a direction. You need something pulling you forward. Because without that, you drift, and when you drift, people feel it. You start looking for identity in places you should never surrender. Attention, approval, short-term validation. But when you're locked into a purpose, you're not easily shaken. You don't need to chase connection. You become connection. You don't need to ask for respect. You move in a way that commands it. And look, this doesn't mean you ignore people, or you stay so focused on your mission that you become emotionally unavailable. It means that your passion becomes a foundation. Something you share, not something you give up. And the woman who truly respects you, she'll want to be around that fire, not tame it, not compete with it. Just admire it and maybe grow because of it. So if you've been waiting for someone to give you purpose, or looking for a relationship to make you feel alive, flip that story. Find your thing. Build your lane. Make your days so full of meaning that anyone who comes into your life is stepping into something that already matters. Because the most attractive thing about a man isn't his looks, his lifestyle, or his status. It's the way he lives. And when you live with purpose, passion, and direction, you don't have to chase anyone. You pull people in without even trying. If that truth hit deep, if you're ready to stop drifting and start building, type this in the comments and own it. I move with purpose. Because when passion drives you, you don't just get attention, you earn respect. And that's what keeps the right ones close. And that's it. 10 traits. 10 psychological switches that women respond to whether they admit it or not. This isn't about manipulation. This isn't about pretending to be someone you're not. It's about becoming a man who's so grounded in who he is, in what he values, in how he moves, that he no longer chases attention. He draws it. And here's the truth, none of this works if you're faking it. Confidence, ambition, emotional strength, purpose. They only hold weight if they're real, built, lived, earned. So don't just watch this and agree. Choose one thing, apply it, live it, and let who you're becoming speak louder than anything you could ever say. If this video gave you clarity, if it challenged the way you see yourself and what you bring to the table, subscribe to the channel. More content is on the way, always grounded, always sharp, and always focused on helping you lead your life with purpose. I'll see you in tomorrow's video.